I apologize. I have been sick with corona for a month and a half almost. Um, but time waits for no one. So I want to make an addition to Jared Routson, the YouTube channel, spelled Jared, Routson Routson. The larger channel now has a playlist called Cats Infest Anaheim. And that is a compilation of all of my music videos that have to do with cats in any way, shape, or form by T.S. Eliot and Andrew Lloyd Webber. It runs about 11 hours. Some material they wouldn't allow me to post, but usually that material has at least 1 minute clips of 1 minute clips you are allowed to post on YouTube that they edit down. I wouldn't say this video is a thesis, but if it was going to be a thesis, I would say that Thomas Stearns Eliot predicted Hollywood decades before. He predicted the Hollywood of our future, of our day, decades before it actually unfolded in his book, Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. And I have my own copy. There's different copies you can get. This one is illustrated and edited, I think, by Axel Scheffler. And it is the original punctuation of T.S. Eliot in his book, I believe. So this video is a little overwhelming to me because I have about 42 cats names from T.S. Eliot that were used in Cats the Musical in 1981. Some of the names were rearranged or dropped or added, but I believe they're all from T.S. Eliot. Some of the cat names that T.S. Eliot referred to are not included in this. But if someone knew those cat names and wanted to put them to some cats, here are some music videos that I did that are not cats, Andrew Lloyd Webber cats, but they are Hollywood cats, and so they are Jellicle cats. And I think the musician, the artist that I'm referring to, in my music videos on my YouTube channel, they would make good cats, and they include As the Peaks and the Pollicles and the Palms, which are dogs, Yorkshire dogs or whatnot, BTS, the South Korean boy band. I didn't use their song, but I did refer to them in my The Great Rumpus Cat, the Battle of the Peaks and the Pollicles, and the Great Intervention of the Great Rumpus Cat video. They're in there. So Jordan Sparks was a musician that I featured with a cat. Fidelia, not Fidelia, but it's a German cartoon with a cat, and it was also there. Someone on YouTube also included a dog movie. Nick Jonas, Elton John, Will Smith, Avril Lavigne, Michael Jackson, Andre Botticelli with Sarah Brightman, Paris Hilton, Zsa Zsa Gabor, with Liberace, Lady and the Tramp, the song We Are Siamese If You Please, We Are Siamese If You Don't Please, Goo Goo Dolls, REO Speedwagon, U2, and Smash Mouth all had videos that either fit to a dog or a cat in Hollywood. But I couldn't think of any names from the musical or from T.S. Eliot directly that would give them a name, but they do have their own cats in Hollywood now to go along with their music video. For example, in the case of Nick Jonas, it was the first movie of Cats and Dogs. He's the white cat, boss cat. I don't know what that cat is named. But I'm going to go quickly through my list of cats and highlight what's important about these names. I guess it's the original name of T.S. Eliot that's the most important. But remember, T.S. Eliot said a cat has 3 different names. So in my interpretation of his work, the cat has a name from T.S. Eliot. Then he has a fancier name, which I believe is the cat as a human being. And then the cat has a name that is only known to that cat himself, which leaves the cat in rapt contemplation of the thought of his name, his ineffable name. And that is the cat in show business or Hollywood or from literature, or an icon cat, or in the song, there's a song in Cats on Broadway that names all different types of cats. And really, that's what cats can do. They can represent all kinds of concepts in art, poetry, literature, entertainment, Hollywood, or a person. One cat I just couldn't name is Crookshanks from Harry Potter, from the mind of J.K. Rowling. Couldn't come up with an equivalency for that one. But Crookshanks is a good name, and it sounds like something that T.S. Eliot would come up with. The first thing I'm going to use is Gilbert. He's referred to in a poem. I'm going to look it up because I can't think of the name offhand. Growl Tiger's Last Stand. He had, so I'm equivalating him to either to a Romulan leader in Star Trek or a Klingon captain in Star Trek, the original series. It said he led his fierce Mongolian horde against the terror of the Thames. It's not Thames, it's Thames. The cat of the terror of the Thames. But exactly who the actor is that plays that one and who exactly that villain is, I don't know. But I do have a 1-minute clip of a Gilbert cat on my YouTube channel. Then, of course, there's Tumble Brutus, which could be Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock. And there's Grumbuckskin, which I believe is Captain Pike from Star Trek. All is from the poem. Excuse me. Growl Tiger's Last Stand. All of those cats I just named are from Growl Tiger's Last Stand poem. Of course, you have I want to get this one out of the way. Here it is, thank goodness. Griddlebone, Nichelle Nichols, who played as Communication Officer Lieutenant Uhura in the original Star Trek series. And she's still with us, thank goodness. And then you have... Okay, thank goodness. Growl Tiger. We know that he's William Shatner as James T. Kirk, and I portray him in my music videos as that cat, with the Andrew Lloyd Webber song, which was not included in the 1998 movie that featured Elaine Paige as Grisabella. But I don't believe Elaine Paige is Grisabella. And I'll give you my reason for it in a second. So, moving right along. You have Syllabub, which is an invented name from Silly and Beelzebub. I want to say Judi Dench, Dame Judi Dench, the actress who played Old Deuteronomy in the 2019 movie, could fit that. It's a she-cat. You have Jonathan is a name from T.S. Eliot in his from his poem The Naming of Cats. And I'm going to say that's Jonathan Taylor, the child actor who played the young voice of from The Lion King of Simba. And that's significant because he gives some other names too, like Victor. That could be Jason Weaver, who played Simba, the singing voice in the 1994 version of The Lion King. You have Alonzo, who could be Donald Glover. These are just suggestions. They're not written in stone. Donald Glover played Simba in the live-action remake, which was this past decade, in the 2010s. And then you have Peter, who could be Matthew Broderick, who played Simba in the 1994 and subsequent cartoon versions of The Lion King. So that was Victor, Alonzo, and Peter. It was easy giving names to those cats because they were all clumped together, and The Lion King just stood out. Then you have James, which was part of those names. Excuse me. So I wanted to say James Earl Jones, who played Simba's father, who was Mufasa. He was also the voice of Darth Vader. And I'll get to that in a minute. But Darth Vader is a cat in his poems, which just goes to show how comprehensive Cats is predicting Hollywood. Back in the 1939-1940, way before Hollywood's heyday, in our modern era at least, when T.S. Eliot published this book, Old Possum's Practical Book of Cats, and I believe he was that was a nickname for him. Old Possum was a name for Thomas Stearns Eliot, who lived in England for the time and had for quite some time before he published his book there. And he went on to publish other poems, some essays, I think, but some plays. He was a playwright, and some other fiction poems, I think. So let's move along and get to Grisabella. What a name. Thomas T.S. Eliot didn't write a full poem for Grisabella, so they had to use bits and parts of a poem he wrote. And lines. Cats the Musical uses lines from other of T.S. Eliot's works and poems to complete the production, which was revealed to Andrew Lloyd Webber and his editor by Thomas Stearns Eliot's late widow. She must have passed away several decades ago or more or so. I didn't look that up though. But so Grisabella, Jennifer Hudson, the singer, plays Grisabella in the 2019 version of Cats. But she does get reborn. She plays Aretha Franklin in a movie. So I think Jennifer Hudson goes on to the Heaviside Layer. And what could the Heaviside Layer be? Maybe it's to be born there, Liberace's old home. I'm just guessing where what the heavy side there could be. And she comes back as Aretha Franklin in her movie. Or what is the movie called? Aretha? But and Grisabella was sung by Elaine Page in the movie, and various artists have sung Memory, which Grisabella sings. I include in music videos by Celine Dion for Memory, and Barbara Streisand sings Memory. The singer from Cinderella, Only You, Lonely You, sings a song, which I link it to a cat, Calvin and Hobbes. And Sarah Brightman and Betty Buckley sing Memory together, a duet, in a commemoration of cats, or at an award show or something. And Susan Boyle sings Memory. But I prefer to think of Grisabella as Stevie Valens. And I made a music video with Stevie Valens in it as Grisabella. It was just a video Stevie Valens or someone of her fans had posted from her career, and it went along with the song that the two female cats sing about Grisabella before she sings her famous song, Memory. Stevie Valens is a Canadian-born actress, and she was a kangaroo in Jubilee Zoo, and I mistook her kangaroo with being a cat, but no, she was a kangaroo, not a cat, a pink kangaroo and not a pink cat. But you could have fooled me with the makeup. So, Mr. Mistopheles, I put him as Aslan the Lion. Aslan the Lion from the Chronicles of Narnia, which was written by, the name escapes me, but he was an English author. But I put the real person equivalent, like Stevie Valens is a real person equivalent of Grisabella. Pastor Tim Henderson on YouTube is a pastor who teaches once saved, always saved. And he's teaching that the rapture of the Lord's church could happen any day now, because he says there's nothing left to happen for that to happen. He says, the second you believe you're a sinner in need of a Savior and believe that Jesus died on the cross for all of your sins, past, present, and future, so that you never need to repent again, and you believe that he was died, buried, and God the Father raised him from the dead on the third day, you're saved, sealed, and delivered to the day of redemption. It's that simple. Good works don't get you into heaven. No church can get you into heaven. Just the finished work of Jesus on the cross. And Aslan was obviously a Christian lion. Well, Pastor Tim Henderson is quite the lion. And speaking of lions, Jesus is referred to as a lion and the lamb. And I use a video game and a Christian song on my YouTube channel and made a music video from God of War, the new video game, and they're making a new version of it for the PS5, a title for God of War, with a son who could, in Greek mythology, who could represent the lamb, and the great god, or it's demigod, or whatever he is the lion. But the Bible does refer to Joshua the Christ as the lion and the lamb. So, moving along, the Rum Tum Tugger. So, Jenny Annie Dots is another cat, and I'll get to her. But Emma Watson was in the movie Disney remake of Beauty and the Beast. I first used the song for Beauty and the Beast, but then trying to find the human equivalent became the actor who played Darth Vader, named Hayden Christensen from Canada, and in the 2019 movie, Rum Tum Tugger is played by Jason Derulo, I believe is how you say it. Um, Mr. Mistopheles in the 2019 movie was played by Lacry Davidson, and they're both African. Or he's not African, but Jason Derulo is African. I think he's American or Canadian or English. I'm not sure. There's so many English-speaking countries. So Hayden Christensen appears in another movie called I can't think of the name. It's the Jedi who defeated Darth Vader. And Darth Vader could make a good Rum Tum Tugger also. Bomb Ballerina. Taylor Swift played it in the 2019 movie. And I want to put her as the female opposite of Lion-O in the Thundercats. Off the top of my head, I apologize. I can't think of the name. Chitara is the name, I believe. I'll get to you a little bit more about the Thundercats in a minute. McCavity, Taylor Swift has a fiance that she's dated for 6 or so years named Joe Alwyn, who's a British actor, a young British actor. And I want to say he's the equivalent of McCavity, who Sarah Brightman's original version, it's the unofficial video I made, is the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. And then, of course, J.K. Rowling, who I believe is Demeter, the cat Demeter, talks about her detective novel. And referring to him as McCavity in my video. She wrote a bunch of a series with this featuring this one particular detective. So, I mean, J.K. Rowling came up with. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll get to that in a minute. Munko Strap. I wanted to give him a cat. He just has a fight scene with McCavity, the 1988 DVD. It's played by Sam Worthington as Sully in Avatar. He's in a wheelchair. Could you say that he's the cat from Soul in Walt Disney, where the black musician ends up in the cat's body? It's just an idea. I couldn't develop it. Jemima. Could be Sigourney Weaver. She's a singer in the 1998 version of Cats. Jemima the cat is. Sigourney Weaver dies, but is she going to come back in the next Avatar movie in some way? I don't know. Rumpelteazer. So I put her along with as Meghan Markle, who marries Rumpelteazer and Mungo Jerry. Rumpelteazer is the female, so Meghan Markle, and Mungo Jerry is Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex. That's the equivalency. Originally, those two cats were the song went along with the Lion King remake of Simba and who's the female friend of Simba, and their childhood music video of I Can't Wait to Be King, when they're running around in the Africa with the other animals. Listen to the video with Prince Harry and Meghan, and you'll see why I chose them, because they go along with the poem. And of course, Jenny Anydots, I believe, is Emma Watson as Hermione Granger, but also just as Emma Watson. I believe Emma Watson is the human equivalent of Jenny Anydots. And she likes Emma Watson, or Hermione Granger talks about fairy tale characters, princesses. And so the connection between her and J.K. Rowling is J.K. Rowling also kind of felt she was a lot like Hermione Granger, and that she was kind of bookish and um, liked to envision herself in stories and fairy tales. And so that's how come J.K. Rowling, I gave her the role of Demeter. Victoria the White Cat. I put her as Bette Midler because Bette Midler appears as an Egyptian Sphinx cat in Cats and Dogs the movie, The Revenge of Kitty Galore. Listen to the song Beautiful Ghosts, and I made a music video with Beautiful Ghosts and Bette Midler on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Listen to the lyrics of that song and you'll see why I chose Bette Midler. Old Deuteronomy, I put him with the live-action remake movie of Cinderella as Prince Charming. But the real person equivalency I wanted to say was Simon Cowell from America's Got Talent and American Idol, I think. Listen to the lyrics of the poem and you can see why I chose that. Jelly Loram. I'm going to say that that's Kelly Tisdale who married Mike Myers. And we'll get to Mike Myers in a moment. But behind every man is a successful man is a strong woman. And Kelly Tisdale obviously is the one who married him and the secret to his success in life, probably. Skimble Shanks, the real person equivalent to that, I want to say, is James Franco. I thought of James Franco because he was in a Tristan and Isolde movie. It's a love story that happened chronologically before Romeo and Juliet, and its roots go before Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. I put him as Lion-O, the Thundercats. Stephen McGraw played Skimble Shanks in the 2019 movie version, live-action movie version. Bill Bailey is Ian McKellen, who was a RoboCat in Cats and Dogs Revenge of Kitty Galore. They wouldn't let me post the video, but there's a 1-minute video version of it. Or there should be. Ian McKellen, I'm glad he has a name in Cats. He's worked hard at it. The actor who played Captain Picard, I never gave him a name, but partly because I ran out of names. There was only 43 names to give people from. Pouncival. And some of these names from Cats have Greek mythological origins. Some of them are just people from the Greek mythology. Some of them haven't. One name is Italian. I tried to look up what some of these names mean, and some of them do have a meaning. I want to say Adam Wingard, who made Godzilla vs. Kong in 2021. He's going to try to do a live-action remake of Thundercats, which the franchise badly needs because its cartoon version 10 years ago was canceled and never completed, seen through to completion. But I used that cartoon from 2010 to illustrate my Skimble Shanks and Mum Ra. So Billy Graham is the equivalent of the Rumpus Cat in my movie, or my music video of the Battle of the Peaks and the Pollicles and the Intervention of the Great Rumpus Cat song from the Android Whimper that does appear in the 1998 movie version. But Rumpus Cat isn't just Mum Ra from that 2010 cartoon of Thundercats. It's Billy Graham. Because all of the Thundercats are very symbolic. All of the Thundercats, you could say, are directors. Could be movie directors. and I put this in my video, The Cats Hall of Fame. So you have George Lucas, you have Steven Spielberg, you have the director who played Opie. He has orange hair, and the Thundercat version of him has orange hair. There's Tom Hanks. You have Kermit the Frog, Muppets director. I can't think of his name. I should, but Jim Henson. Yeah. So all of those cats could represent a director, and then you have Mum-Ra's Henchman, which could be a director too if you wanted to. But I don't have time or the knowledge to assign a name to each one. Know only that there's a Thundercat for each director. So Tom Hanks can be Car Buckety. Car Buckety. I apologize. I'm going to turn on my airplane mode. Okay. Airplane mode on. Tom Hanks is going to be Geppetto in a Disney remake, a live-action remake of Pinocchio. So the voice of... So Corico Pat. Jaya Betot was the voice of the cat in I can't think of the show, but Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Salem, the cat was named as Salem Saberhagen. And I said Ponceville was the director Adam Wingard already, who did Godzilla vs. King Kong, because he's going to do Thundercats. So Corico Pat is a twin of a cat, Tantomile, which means a witch's cat, I think. And Sabrina the Teenage Witch, obviously, is Sabrina, who was originally played by Melissa Joan Hart. The series was canceled, but they made a cartoon remake not so long ago. I used the cartoon remake and put it to Taylor Swift's McCavity and made a music video with that song. So those are the two twins. Of course, Tantomile is the female twin and Corico Pat is the male twin. I'm just checking these off as we go. I wanted the human equivalent for Buster Jones. Originally, Buster Jones, I put him as Tom from Tom and Jerry in the 2021 movie version of Tom and Jerry. James Corden fits the poem perfectly, and I made a music video with it. Most of these actors now have their own music video on my YouTube channel, and The Cat in Hollywood has a music video for it. Gus the Theater Cat, originally I had him as Puss in Boots from Shrek. And Mike Myers was Fire for Fiddle, the Fiend of the Fell as Shrek. That was a Sarah Brightman version of Gus the Theater Cat with a guest playing Gus the Theater Cat in the song. But pretty soon, Gus the Theater Cat became Mike Myers in The Cat in the Hat. The Dr. Seuss version of the movie that caused the widow of the Cat in the Hat to cancel live-action remakes of Dr. Seuss's works. But Mike Myers, I believe, is Gus the Theater Cat, and his wife, Jelly Loram, Kelly Tisdale, I believe, if I got that correct. Admetus originally is played by Idris Elba, an actor in the 2019 Macavity, who is an actor in other things. I don't know his full bio. But I made a music video with Top Cat, a remake of the cartoon Top Cat, along with some, I don't know what you would call it, just bonus scenes of cats from Hollywood and show business, and put Liberace. I did a variety show with cats and used Liberace show as the background of it. So that's who I believe is Admetus, the best I could do on that. Moving along, Cassandra is described as a Siamese cat who's a hottie. You see her dressed up in a black leotard in Cats. So, I'm not supposed to say leotard, because they're not leotards, they're real cats. T.S. Eliot included the name Tantomile, which I don't know in what language means a witch's cat. But I thought of Sarah Jessica Parker, because her and Beth Midler and another actress play three witches in a Disney remake called Hocus Pocus, which isn't a remake because they were in the original movie of that Hocus Pocus. So Sarah Jessica Parker appears in Sex and the City, so that's a TV sitcom. I think she made a remake movie of it, excluding an actor. Sarah Jessica Parker has some relatives from Salem that date back to the Salem witch trials. But, so, Cassandra, I believe, is Sarah Jessica Parker. Does anyone have any better idea for Cassandra? Elektra, of course, Rebel Wilson played Jenny Annie Dots in the 2019 movie. But these cats aren't really the cats they're claiming to be. Rebel Wilson is actually Elektra, from the mind of T.S. Eliot's cats names, in my opinion. And then you have Mungo Jerry, who I already said. Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser. The poem describes Prince Harry and Meghan Markle perfectly. They're a pair of notorious cats, or whatever it goes on and on. The poem does. Charlton Heston, I don't know why I included him, but there needed to be a cat for Plato. Plato is a philosophical cat. Well, what actor could be more philosophical than someone who played Moses in the Ten Commandments? Plus, Charlton Heston was in Planet of the Apes. I don't know what else he was in. He made a cameo voice appearance in the Greek Hercules by Disney. There was a name that wasn't included in online called Quaxo, which means frog croaking or so must be a villain. So I wanted to put that as the villain in Avatar who tries to kill Sam Worthington as Sully. Tries to kill Sully. Of course, Sully is going to come back. I think Sam Worthington is going to abandon his body, his human body with its frailties, and transfer his consciousness, I don't know if it's possible, into a body of an avatar cat. To me, the avatar, whatever race they're called, they look like giant cats, a race of cats. And the music video of the cats fight scene with Mucko Strap, I used that music with the Avatar backdrop. And then I redid the song for the 2019, the fight scene music with the remake of Avatar, which is going to be released in a year or so this winter. So all of those cats now have a name. The only thing I want to add is I took some of Andrew Lloyd Webber's music and assigned it to cat that didn't have any poem or lyrics, or some of it had lyrics, but no cat. So I assigned it to cats like the Pink Panther, Mr. Rogers' cat, I forget the name of the cat, it's a cartoon, but Elaine Page sings Memory to that cat. I think Elaine Page came back as that cat, and Jemima came back as that cat's friend from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, the cartoon, PBS Kids version. Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood is what. Elaine Page was reincarnated as Daniel Tiger. And then you have The Cat in the Hat went with one of a ballad. From PBS Kids and also dare I look it up? But there were, and Judi Dench sings the Addressing of Cats. I put her to the Jungle Book, Disney's Jungle Book remake with Mowgli, and there's a panther. So Judi Dench is a real cougar because the panther is a man. In that is a male. The panther is a male in the remake. Oh, and not to mention the bear, Baru. What is his name? Baloo? The bear Baloo is the voice of Bill Murray, who, I've almost forgot to mention, is a cat. He plays Garfield in several movies of Garfield in the past decade or so. Bill Murray was the voice of Garfield in those movies. And there's a poem, Cat Morgan introduces himself, which is in Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. And I will even show you. Here it is. Cat Morgan introduces himself. This is the poem, and it's 2 pages long. I made a music video with it, but it was not a music video. It was just me reading the poem. Like I read the poem Grell Tiger's Last Stand without music. But I also, Grell Tiger's Last Stand does have a music video on my YouTube channel. And the Garfield movie that I used has Garfield, The Tale of Two Kitties. So Garfield is in England with another cat. And it fits along with the poem perfectly. And of course, Bill Murray, he's in the movie What About Bob? Well, Cat Morgan introduces himself. The poem says, if just you make friends with the cat at the door. Well, who do you think Bob was? He was at the door. And until you made friends with him, nothing was going to go down that you wanted to. So, Bill Murray was a human equivalent of Cat Morgan. And you can always find more cats in Hollywood or in the media or icons and put a song to them, put a jingle to them, give them a name if you can think of an inventive name. Something that sounds like J.K. Rowling did with Crookshanks, a name that you think T.S. Eliot might have done. And, I mean, we could go on doing this for as long as we wanted, but anyway, that's my thesis. That's pretty much, you have Star Trek, you have Star Wars, you have so many franchises that all tie, and actors and actresses who all kind of tie into Old Possum's book of, here it is without the cover, Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. It's amazing. I don't. A lot of the cats are said as being like Tantamile and Coracle Powder said to be psychic. Bomb Ballerina, or at least Chitara, is psychic. That Taylor Swift has the equivalent to psychic abilities. The official music video of Beautiful Ghosts that Taylor Swift uses is of a psychic version of herself with dogs, wolves, in it. And there's wolves in the Chronicles of Narnia. There's wolves in the Jungle Book. And I made music videos with all of that. So you have your Pollicle dogs. They're not just Yorkshire Terriers. Now we know they're the BTS Korean group. In one of my music video, that talks about the Battle of the Peaks and the Pollicles, Taylor Swift makes an appearance as the romantic interest of Skimbleshanks, who is, I already said, was James Franco. So James Franco makes a move on her in the luggage van. It's in one of the. It's either in Skimbleshank's music video that I made, or with James Franco, or the Battle of the Peaks and the Pollicles with the Great Rumpus Cat. And Rumpus Cat isn't Rumpus Cat; it's Rumpus Cat. It's one word. So that to me means, Mum Ra could be a cat because you kind of become the cat's. You become the god that you worship. He's always wanting the Thundercats and their sword. The cat of the railway train. Well, a sword could be a rail, in the way of the training. Lion-O is always training with his sword of Thundera, or whatever it's called. It's made of steel. Could be railway train. Training with a sword, so that's where I get railway cat. Plus, those cats were in a railway train, not a railway train, but kind of like a spaceship, kind of like Star Trek spaceship. So, it's a ship. It took them from Thundera to their other planet, and they were in cryogenics, or they were in a frozen state. But for some reason, Lion-O developed from a boy to a man's body. And I guess that's all I need to say. And working on this franchise has been wonderful. Are there other cats in history? Probably, no doubt. Some of these people have real birthdays in the constellation of Virgo, which is actually the constellation of Leo, because the zodiac sign is 22 to 25 to 30 days too soon. So when someone has a sun sign or a moon sign or a rising sign in the constellation of Virgo, the Virgin, it's really in Leo. A fire sign, a fixed sign, a cat, who's a cat. And by the way, I looked it up. There are all kinds of cats. Big cats, small cats, extinct cats. Like Elton John is a saber-toothed tiger from the movie 1000 BC or whatever. So some of these cats are extinct but not forgotten. I'm sure Elton John will be with us for many years, unless the rapture of the Lord's church happens or the Great Tribulation happens. I'm a pre-tribulationist who believes pre-tribulation rapture believer, which means before there's wrath poured out on believers and Christians who have put all their faith in Jesus and not their own works or their own righteousness. They're the ones who will be taken, who believe on grace alone, by Jesus alone, by faith alone, salvation comes by faith alone, by Jesus alone, by grace alone. So they'll be taken in the rapture of the Lord church into heaven and be with the Lord. The scripture says, first the dead shall rise first, and then we which are alive and remaining shall be caught up in the clouds to meet the Lord, and thus shall we ever be with the Lord. It's a verse from the Apostle Paul, I believe. In what book, I don't know. Any scripture that makes you think that you have to be sin-free once you're saved, or that you're judged, don't believe it. We're not it's misinterpreted, it's out of context. Use scriptural criticism on it, because we're not saved based on the kind of lives we lived, good or bad. We're saved by the finished work of Jesus on the cross. Only his blood could do it, and his blood is all sufficient. And that's all I wanted to say for this segment. And I hope I have a thesis statement that I could get my Bachelor of Arts degree in if I needed it, which I started at Boise State University. And this gets my foot in the door, all of this research I had to do on cats. And I enjoyed every minute. Thank you so much.